Now, Finance Minister Mboweni warned Parliament this week about a looming water crisis in municipalities. He didn't mention it in his medium-term budget on Wednesday, but he was concerned enough to ask parliamentary committees to address this when he spoke with them on Thursday. Now, the alarm was first sounded on this matter in July by Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation Minister Lindiwe Sisulu. Municipalities, it seems, are not paying their water boards, and those boards are owed some 10 billion rand. And I'm joined now by Professor Mike Muller from Wits University. He's a registered engineer. He advises on water and development. He also served as Director General in the Department of Water from 1997 until 2005, and he chairs the technical committee at the Water Institute of South Africa. Professor, thanks very much for joining us. So why are municipalities not paying the water boards? Is it because residents are not paying the municipalities?
Sally, good evening to you and your viewers. You know, it is a combination of these things. There are certainly problems in many municipalities where they simply don't collect the revenue that's due to them, and you can't complain if residents don't pay if you don't ask them to. And in some of the municipalities, we see that they're just not checking the water bills and they're not following up on them. But there are other problems. And I think one of the big problems is that municipalities regard water boards, well, they're part of national government. You know, if we don't pay them, they'll get their money somewhere else. And that won't happen. And it's unfortunately a reflection of a breakdown in relationships between the water boards, which are set up to serve a range of municipalities in their area, and those municipalities. There seems to be a breakdown in trust. And the municipalities don't seem to understand that if the water board runs out of money, the municipality will run out of water.
Why has this been allowed to escalate? For how long has it been a problem?
It's been a growing problem, Sally, and perhaps one of the reasons it's been allowed to escalate is that the electricity problem in Eskom is so much bigger that this one sort of, oh, it's only 10 billion, it doesn't matter. You've got a couple of thousand people working there, keeping the water running. Of course it matters, but it's always assumed that it's small enough that we'll somehow manage it. But it has been allowed to grow, and we're now in the situation where with COVID and the financial crises of COVID, the question is, if the municipalities are getting even less money, how on earth are they going to pay these bills? And there are a number of things that can be done. Strictly, the water boards shouldn't be given money. They should get their money from the municipalities paying for services. That's the deal. But if the municipalities don't pay over the money, then we have to ask perhaps Treasury to say, shouldn't you be giving the money to the municipalities, but with the condition that they pay it over to the people who keep the water running? Those discussions are happening, but it's really the breakdown in relationships between the water boards and the municipalities, who should be working together as a family. They seem to be working in competition, and we need to do something to address that.
Explain to me exactly what the function of the water board is. You said that they service a number of municipalities, but what exactly is their function within that system?
Well, look at the big one, Rand Water, that serves Gauteng and quite a lot of the provinces around. It serves about 70 municipalities. None of those municipalities would be able to get enough water from their local area. And so we set up, and this is even before South Africa, even the Union of South Africa was invented. This was back in 1908. Rand Water was set up to provide water to all the big users of water in what was originally the reef, and it's now spread much further. So the water board should be seen as cooperatives serving municipalities, bringing to them water that they couldn't get by themselves. And when it works wonderfully, and everyone forgets about them. When it doesn't work, we suddenly realize that we all depend on them. Well, not all, but most of the big municipalities are dependent one way or another on the water boards. And then we start panicking. And it's always a bit late. If there's already 10 billion owed, it's more difficult to find 10 billion than it is to find a couple of 100 million. And that's the situation that's been allowed to build up.
So Mboweni flagging it this week in Parliament when he was appearing before a number of committees. We also know that Lindiwe Sisulu, the minister concerned with water, has flagged this a few months ago. What actually is being done to sort the problem out?
Well, at the moment, there are a number of boards that are quite worried about whether they'll be able to pay salaries this month. And the situation hasn't been helped when Parliament, in its wisdom, the parliamentarians said, we can't increase water board tariffs. And the water boards, which had already told the municipalities how much tariffs were going to be increased by, were told to cut those tariff increases. I think you'll find in some municipalities you're paying the higher water board tariff, but the water board doesn't get the tariff. So there's a lack of coordination, there's a lack of cooperation between the boards and the municipalities. And what our concern is in the water sector, and I speak for the larger group of institutions and people working in there, is that we can't allow the system to fail. Municipalities must do the job, collect the money, pay it over, and keep services running. And if they do that, they will always have bulk water in the pipes. At the moment, that's a little unsure. And I think Tito Mboweni is correct to say, can the boards and the municipalities and the departments concerned please get together and sort out this problem? And actually, the parliamentarians should not try and raise their popularity by putting a hold on tariffs, particularly because that doesn't make any difference to the tariff charge to poor people in municipalities. It was a political move, and it was really uncalled for, and it's been very unhelpful because it's just aggravated the financial challenges that everybody faces.
Sounds like a problem that needs to be solved rather urgently. Thank you very much, Mike Muller, Professor Mike Muller from Wits University.